This week, you're in for a real treat. Brad is in northern Alberta with one of our other clients, Quentin Chambers, and they're in camp together chasing trophy Canada moose. And you can't even imagine the weather and the struggles that they have to face. But you know what? It's going to be a great show.
Rolling Bones No Boundaries would like to thank our sponsors, the Montana Rifle Company, Leupold Optics, Arms Corps Ammunition, Seal One Gun Care Products, and Realtree Max One.
So one of the neat things about a Canadian hunt is, like for us, we can drive there. It's a reasonable drive. It's not that hard to get to. And you can get all your meat home. It's easy to get your meat home. You know, we're in northern Canada and they have some big moose too. And then there's the Shiras Moose that, you know, we're accustomed to hunting down here in the States. And, you know, so you got a range of moose. You might take 17, 18, 19 points to grab a Shiras Moose tag. You know, 20 years to get a moose tag in the States. Up here in Alberta, you can just buy one through an outfitter. And that's one of the big advantages, and you're still hunting big, majestic moose.
We're working hand in hand with these qualified outfitters, right?
So Noel Erickson is one of the owners of Rolling Bones, and he went up and he filmed, and he's a driving expert. The guy can drive forever. And that's what you need when you're busting up to Fort McMurray. And he was filming for us, and he's one of our main concierge. He runs the concierge service. And so we like to get him into camps too. So we drove up to Fort McMurray, Alberta. From there, we stayed overnight.
Noel is definitely in charge of my accommodations from now on, because I never end up staying in a nice place like this.
Fort McMurray is where we flew out of, the Fort McMurray Airport. And obviously in 16, they had that monster fire and it ravaged the place. I think they evacuated 85,000 people in an afternoon. I don't know how long it took, but it was a major undertaking. There was, apparently there was no lives lost, but it was a devastating fire.
Can you imagine the heat? I mean, even across the street, it was melting buildings. There's a building right by the airport here. Just melted it. It was just so stinking hot, and that's 100 yards away.
By the time we got out here, up there, obviously the fire was out. They'd had a lot of moisture again, and then we jumped on a plane. And depending upon the weather, they have a little grass landing strip, or you can land in the lake. Well, the grass landing strip was available, so we were able to land.
I got the football. Run!
We were picked up by Phil and Tony, and they had a little ATV with a trailer on it, loaded all our stuff, and it was about a quarter-mile hike down to the lodge. Unbelievable setting. You're on a lake, phenomenal lodging, cool little lodge, pictures of thousands of huge trophy pike. World-class food and cuisine, man. Mary can cook.
who doesn't want to come up here and shoot a big moose, you know?
When we saw our moose, we were about 210 yards offshore.
Hey, here we are, Brandon Neal with Rolling Bones, and I'm here with my Uncle Brent, and we're here in northern Utah, and we're here on opening morning, and he's drawn a Shiras Moose tag.
Rolling Bones No Boundaries is proud to partner with these sponsors: the Montana Rifle Company, Leupold Optics, Arms Corps Ammunition, Seal One Gun Care Products, and Realtree Max One. Closed captioning is sponsored by The Lodge at Deadwood. We'd also like to personally thank you for watching, and we invite you to follow us on Facebook.
We're in northern Alberta with Brad Dana and Noel Erickson with one of our other clients, Quentin Chambers, and they're in camp together chasing trophy Canada moose.
The two main ways we hunt moose are by calling, and then we spent time in the boat looking at the shoreline. Moose, they come out and they get these lily bulbs. Apparently they're full of carbohydrates, so they like to eat on those too. We're in mating season, and so they're calling. Moose, they can smell you from a mile away, but they can't see you from 100 yards away.
And something about their antlers, you know, people just think they're this big antler just made for fighting. And their huge antlers actually get vibration and sound into them. I mean,
It helps deflect
it
back
helps
into them, yeah.
their hearing, and they can literally hear calls from up to 2 miles away.
So just a different type of hunt. They're not like a wily whitetail that we're used to.
We have a big lake on both sides of us. These bulls wander back and forth, check the lake, make sure there's no cows, checking scent, you know. They're looking for love. This is an old logging trail they just cut about 10 years ago. But this is the easy walking. I mean, they can get through there somehow. I don't know how. A bull with basically a kitchen table on his head walks through this stuff. But they do somehow, they find a way. But they really spend their time on this trail. So Kevin's gonna play some magical sweet music for us today and hopefully call one in. Without further ado, make some of that sweet music. Don't remove it. Got Kevin up here, he's cow calling. Jared's riding drag. He's snapping twigs, doing immature bull sounds, trying to get, a volley back and forth, get a bull up in here fired up. It's very effective elk hunting. We use that a lot. It works really well in moose hunting too. So it's really handy if you have enough guys. Have a guy in front and a guy behind you a couple 100 yards. This is a rut hole. This is a moose rut hole.
Yeah, it's kind of right in the middle of a main game trail here that they're using every day. The bull comes and scrapes it all out. and the cow and the bull urinate, and this is kind of a meeting spot for them, right?
That's a big bull.
Yeah, look at this bull truck. This thing is this wide here. And this is my boot. I get a size 10, and if that bull is in here, he's that wide.
He's caliber bull we're looking for.
So hunting moose, it's funny because you can hunt them about 3 or 4 different ways. Obviously, the geographical region influences that greatly. And Brandon Neal's hunting the Shiras Moose in the Wasatch, just outside of Park City, in some of the highest elevation hunting possible in the West. And so it's a whole different thing.
Hey, here we are, Brandon Neal with Rolling Bones, and I'm here with my Uncle Brent, and he's drawn a Shiras Moose tag, which is not an easy tag to draw. You had over 20 points, didn't you, Brent?
Yep.
So I think he was about 1 point away from max. So we're very excited to be up here, but we've been seeing a few moose out. We've been out the last few days kind of spotting, and so we've got some ideas of where some moose are.
He's got palms, doesn't he? But how many points?
He's got better palms, I think, than
I want to get 6 at least.
So we're gonna go down and try to make a move on him. Okay, we're on our way.
Geographically, hunting changes on these species all over. And I don't know if there's anything more drastic than moose, because moose can live in the high altitudes of the bighorns over in Wyoming, down to the marshes of like what Brad's hunting here. These Canada moose are in these big bogs and flats and swamps and dense forest off of the lake country. And Brandon Neal's hunting the Shiras Moose in the Wasatch, just outside of Park City, in some of the highest elevation hunting possible in the West. And so it's a whole different thing.
I actually was able to go with my Uncle Brent. He's been putting in for the Shiras Moose tag for over 25 years and finally drew the tag. And very excited to be able to go and spend a couple of weeks up looking for these incredible creatures. The first couple days we went up and started hunting with my uncle. We started to scout around the area a little bit. Ended up going up into the high country for the first few days, and the elk hunt actually just started as well, so there were a lot of elk hunters in the area, and that was good for us because all the elk hunters were more than happy to tell us where they had spotted some moose. And we actually ran into one particular elk hunter who told us that he saw the biggest moose he'd ever seen in his life, and as far as the Shiras Moose goes, and said it was just a great moose, probably close to 50 inches, maybe bigger. And he put us on the water hole, told us right where the water hole was where he saw the moose. This was the second morning of the hunt. And so we went up there and set that water hole for the first couple of days actually, and we just couldn't turn him up. The first week we hunted hard. We rode the razor all over the place. We did a lot of glassing, and the weather was actually pretty good for the most part. We did get rained on and snowed on one day. We're heading back down the canyon here to get back down to the bottoms where there's some willows. We got a major storm coming in. We got thunder and lightning. After that first week, we decided to head home for a few days and regroup and come back, a few days later, about a week later. We're up here moose hunting again. This is actually week number 2, and this morning we've seen we're looking at three bulls. Two are pretty good. One looks like he's probably a shooter, so we're going to go down and try to make a move on him.
I bet he's
1, 2,
over
3,
40.
4 is all he's got over there.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the one for sure.
When we spotted them, they were about 1,000 yards away, and so we couldn't tell for sure if this was the moose that my uncle wanted to shoot or not. So we decided to leave my dad there where he could guide us in. He stayed up high where he could see these moose, and my uncle and we circled back down around to get a closer look at them. Okay, we're on our way. Well, we did just that. We got down and we started hiking up towards them, and we, right off the bat, got within about 150 yards of them.
How far? Oh, they're only 150. Just put it right on him. That's one of all the points right there. Can you shoot him?
He's the one, the best one, huh?
Yeah, well, he's got the most points.
Okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Okay. Good shot. Put another one in. He's a good one.
All right, moose down. Brent just made a great shot on a nice bull, and we're gonna go check him out here.
Well, you can get right here between us,
And we're sitting there checking him out, and as we're doing that, we look just up the hill about 30 yards away from us, and there's another bull, and it was actually the biggest bull.
We shot the wrong moose, Dad. This other one's way bigger. He's still sitting here.
You know, that's hunting sometimes. You know, you just can't tell. Obviously, at this point, we wish we would have taken a little more time. One thing about moose that, you know, we really learned hunting them this time is that, you know, for the most part, they're usually not real scared of you. All right, well, here we go. We got Brent's moose down, and good bull here. You know, these Shiras moose don't get as big as the Alaskan moose or the Canadian moose, but this is still a good bull, and congratulations, Brent.
Thanks.
But you know, again, my uncle, he got a moose of a lifetime. It's a once in a lifetime hunt here in Utah, and it was a great hunt. We had a lot of fun there.
When we saw our moose on the shoreline, we were in the boat, and I was taking a frontal shot, and I hit the moose. He stood right there. That's where we got a little bit of blood, but he's not bleeding a lot. Now we're just gonna comb these woods and find him.
Rolling Bones No Boundaries is proud to partner with these sponsors: the Montana Rifle Company, Leupold Optics, Arms Corps Ammunition, Seal One Gun Care Products, and Realtree Max One. Closed captioning is sponsored by The Lodge at Deadwood. We'd also like to personally thank you for watching, and we invite you to follow us on Facebook. As a hunter, Rolling Bones Outfitters was created to deliver the experience you've always wanted but didn't know where to start. To begin with, as a Rolling Bones member, you get your own personal hunting representative. From DIY to fully guided, we match the hunter to the hunt. That's rollingbonesoutfitters.com.
We're in northern Alberta chasing large Canada moose with Brad Dana and Noel Erickson, and we're down to the last day. So you have a 6-day hunt, and you've obviously had to face some issues.
Yep. We got a full moon, and it always seems to slow the hunting down. You know, the animals are out feeding all night long. The rut is late. It's really warm. The weather hasn't changed yet, so the moose aren't as active and receptive to our game plan as we were hoping for. About the third day, we saw our first young bull and a cow, and it was right at dark. The camera was barely able to pick them up. It was too dark for the camera, really. But and then day 6, we saw a bull. When we saw our moose on the shoreline, we were in the boat, and we were about 210 yards offshore.
I think I'm on him.
He's 45, 50-inch bull, boys.
Yeah, you could see the big paddles. He stood right there. That's where we got a little bit of blood, but he's not bleeding a lot. So we gave him about 4 hours, and now we're just gonna comb these woods and find him. Oh my God.
That's a trophy, man. Trophy of a lifetime. What an adventure in northern Alberta, huh? This was a bucket list item for me. Patience absolutely did pay off. Last afternoon of the hunt, and it happens in a split second, you know? Around the corner, there's a cow. In the shadows of the brush, there's a bull standing there. You know, it just happens. It just takes a second, and it only takes one. But this Canadian moose is a big moose. It's a big mature critter, and it's an affordable hunt. You know, you don't have to go to Alaska and spend the big bucks. This is half price or even way less than half price of some of those big Alaskan Yukon moose hunts. So this is something that you can do, and it's part of the reason that we do this, and it just fulfills us to be able not only to do this type of thing for ourselves, but to help other people find the right type of a hunt and have a quality adventure.
So here's my Canadian moose mark, and just what a memory. And to top it off, Quentin Chambers and his brother Kevin were in camp, and Quentin's a client and a member of ours, and he shot a 65-inch bull, and he was stopping by the taxidermist to see how the progress on his bull was going.
And the pictures don't do justice until you really hold these things. The sheer mass and the color and just the amazing antler structure.
Yeah, what an amazing...
I don't even know how they hold their head up.
It's unbelievable.
And how they get through the jungle in there, huh?
And it's so thick you can't walk through it. They just go right through.
1,800 pounds of power. Yeah, man. Congratulations. That's a trophy.
Yeah, that's awesome, Brad.
What a blessing.